Welcome to the Bovine Podcast, where we dig deep into the stories, challenges, and innovations shaping the dairy industry. Today, we're turning the spotlight on the true backbone of dairy farming, the mothers. Think you know who's running the show on your local dairy farm? Spoiler alert, it's not just the cows or the tractors. Behind every successful operation, there's a woman juggling calf care, financial spreadsheets, herd health protocols, and a family's future, all before lunchtime. In this episode, we're unmasking the invisible labor of dairy farm moms. We'll explore how they're redefining multitasking in a 24/7 industry, why their mental load is heavier than a loaded feed wagon, and how their resilience is paving the way for a more sustainable and equitable future for dairy. From Vermont innovators to Nigerian milkmaids battling climate change, you'll hear firsthand how these women are milking challenges into opportunities. Let's get started.
All right, folks, welcome back to the Deep Dive. Today, we're really zeroing in on what we at the Bovine know is often the heart and soul of so many dairy farms, the farm mom.
That's right. We've been digging through some really compelling information, actually. Stuff that shines a light on the pivotal role these women play. And it goes way beyond just, lending a hand.
Oh, absolutely.
We're talking about their strategic importance, the real economic horsepower they bring to the whole operation.
Exactly. And for all you seasoned dairy folks, industry pros tuning in, this isn't just a feel-good story. Our aim today is to peel back the layers, really understand the powerhouse that is the dairy farm mother.
And why their success is just absolutely vital, not just for the farm, but for the entire industry's future.
Spot on. Okay, so where do we even start trying to unpack all this? It's a big topic.
Well, I think let's start by tackling some, let's say, outdated notions head on. Yeah, this idea that women on dairy farms are just helping out, maybe with chores, or they're primarily focused on the house and kids. It's not only behind the times, it's just demonstrably wrong.
Totally agree.
What our analysis shows pretty clearly is that these women are integral managers. They're key decision makers. And frankly, they're seriously skilled operators in their own right.
Couldn't agree more. We actually came across one farmer's description of the farm mom as being like command central. And that really hit the nail on the head for me. They're so often the central hub, right? Everything else just kind of revolves around them.
That's a great analogy. And the stats will absolutely back this up. If you look across all of U.S. agriculture, women make up a significant chunk, 36.3% of producers.
Wow.
Yeah. And they're managing, a jaw-dropping 407 million acres.
Million? That's incredible.
It is. And contributing a massive $222 billion in farm sales. That's billion with a B.
Billion. That's serious economic impact.
And here's a figure that really underscores their management role. Over half, a full 51% of all farms in the U.S. have at least one woman involved in those crucial management decisions.
51%. So it's the norm, really.
Pretty much. Now, when we zoom in specifically on the dairy sector, the picture gets even more interesting.
You bet. While, 29.9% of dairy producers are women, a significant 54%, over half, again, of dairy farms report having at least one woman as a secondary operator.
And that secondary operator term is key, isn't it?
It is, because they're actively involved in those make-or-break decisions. Day-to-day stuff, long-term strategy, and we really need to clarify what the USDA means by producer here.
Right. It's anyone making decisions for the farm.
Exactly. So these secondary operators, they are producers through and through. Even if they're a leadership role sometimes, it flies under the radar a bit.
That's a really important point to make, because that under-recognition, it can have tangible consequences.
Like what?
Well, everything from how they're perceived within the industry, maybe at meetings or by suppliers, to their actual access to vital resources, support programs, even credit sometimes.
Okay. And when you think about the sheer breadth of responsibilities these women often shoulder, it's frankly astonishing.
It really is. Absolutely. Think about calf care, for instance. That's literally the future of the herd, right?
The foundation.
Precisely. And so often it's the farm mom who is the ultimate calf care commando.
I like that term.
Yeah. Meticulously ensuring proper colostrum management, getting that crucial first milk in, checking passive transfer. They're overseeing those early nutrition programs that, lay the groundwork for a heifer's entire productive life.
They're the first line of defense for those newborns.
Yeah.
And probably the last one when something looks a bit off.
Exactly. And then there's herd health. They frequently act as, well, herd health gurus.
Okay, another good one.
They're administering treatments, coordinating those sometimes pretty frantic vet visits, diligently maintaining treatment protocols, making sure everything's recorded right, and keeping a hawk-like eye on those delicate transition cows. That period around calving, where things can go sideways really fast.
And that directly hits profitability big time.
Hugely. And let's not overlook the financial reins. Many dairy farm mothers are also the financial wizards.
Okay, commandos, gurus, wizards. Seeing a theme here.
Well, it fits. They're managing payroll. We even have that great example of Rita Vanderkooy in Minnesota, who handles this for a pretty large operation.
Right.
They're tracking those all-important milk quality premiums, which can really make or break the milk checks some months.
Sure.
And navigating the often choppy waters of farm finances. Constantly analyzing feed costs versus milk price margins. It's a real financial tightrope walk sometimes.
No kidding. Yeah. What's truly impressive, I think, is how seamlessly they often weave together these demanding farm responsibilities with the equally relentless demands of family life.
It's a constant juggling act. It demands incredible skill, organization, and just sheer determination.
Yeah. As that one observer noted, these moms are generally command central for the entire farm family, right?
Exactly. Handling everything from hauling meals out to the field during planting or harvest, and making those emergency runs for crucial parts when something breaks down at the worst possible moment.
Always happens then, doesn't it?
Always. Driving equipment, keeping the books in order, and yes, even maintaining peace between family members, which, let's be honest, can be a full-time job on any family farm.
You're not wrong there.
No.
We've got some fantastic real-world examples, too, that really paint a picture of this in action.
Yeah, like Renee Clark in Wisconsin. Every single morning, she's out there mixing feed for the milking herd.
Doing the TMR.
Exactly. Carefully tweaking that total mixed ration, that precisely balanced feed that's just the cornerstone of good dairy nutrition. Making sure rumination, that vital cud shoeing, and butterfat production are exactly where they need to be.
And that's not just tossing ingredients together, is it? That's applied nutritional science happening right there in the feed alley. Every day.
Absolutely. It's constant monitoring and adjustment. And then there's Rita Vanderkooy again. Beyond keeping the payroll humming, she also coordinates extensively with the farm's nutritionists and reproductive specialists.
Making sure everyone's on the same page?
Precisely. For optimal herd performance. And during the, let's call it, controlled chaos of harvest, she's also making sure the entire team is well-fed and energized to keep things running smoothly.
That's huge for morale and, frankly, for getting the job done safely and efficiently.
Definitely. And this kind of strategic coordination, this ability to keep all those plates spinning without dropping one, it's so often an invisible layer of management.
Right. People don't always see it.
But as our sources highlight, it's as absolutely essential to the smooth operation of the farm as, say, a properly functioning plate cooler is to maintaining the quality of that bulk tank milk.
And that's a great comparison. If that cooling system goes down, you know about it pretty darn quick.
You do. And the same holds true for this central coordination. If it falters, things start to unravel fast, even if you can't immediately point to why.
Okay, things are definitely getting interesting here. We've established they're doing incredible work.
They certainly are. But while we've highlighted these incredible contributions, it's really crucial that we also acknowledge the significant headwinds that dairy farm mothers frequently face.
Right. It's not all smooth sailing.
Not at all. Life on a dairy farm is demanding for everyone, obviously, but for mothers, it often means navigating a particularly challenging landscape. You've got financial uncertainties, immense mental pressures, and that constant balancing act of raising a family within the 147 demands of a working farm.
Absolutely. It's like a trifecta of challenges, as our sources clearly lay out. Let's maybe kick things off with access to credit.
Yeah, that's a big one. The data suggests that women-only farm operations often face a tougher time securing loans compared to those run primarily by men.
Even if the business plan is solid.
Apparently so, in some cases. And even if we don't have exact percentages readily available, the underlying truth seems clear. Limited access to capital severely restricts their ability to invest.
Invest in what specifically?
Well, crucial technology, maybe pursuing farm expansion, or even just having the cushion to weather those inevitable economic downturns that are just part and parcel of agriculture.
So that lack of capital creates a significant hurdle, just holds back profitability and growth.
Absolutely. It's kind of like trying to push for peak milk production while consistently feeding maybe a less than optimal ration.
You're just not going to reach your full potential.
Exactly. No matter how good your genetics are or how hard you work, you're handicapped from the start.
Okay. Then we've got the immense mental weight.
Yeah. And agriculture in general takes a significant toll on mental well-being. We know that.
For sure.
But for farm women, this is often amplified by what's been called the triple burden.
Right. Explain that.
It's juggling the on-farm work, often holding down an off-farm job to supplement the family income.
Which is really common.
Very common. And still carrying the primary responsibility for the home and childcare. It's just a relentless cycle.
Wow. That sounds exhausting just listing it.
It is. There was one farm woman's description of her week as this complex calculation involving meal planning, work schedules, both on and off, the farm kids' activities, appointments, vet visits, parts runs, and the ever-present farm needs on top of it all.
It really brings it into sharp focus, doesn't it?
Yeah.
That level of constant mental juggling just doesn't seem sustainable without adequate support.
It really isn't. And while the tragically high rates of suicide among male farmers and ranchers are, thankfully, getting more attention, it's vital to recognize that female farmers also report significant levels of stress, depression, and anxiety. Sometimes, the data shows, even higher rates than their male counterparts. That's a really serious issue we need to address.
Absolutely. And the third part of that trifecta, the childcare tightrope.
Ah, yes. As Wisconsin's Renee Clark put it so well, farming is a 247 job, and so is being a mother.
You can argue with that.
She also pointed out that women often tend to shoulder more of the childcare responsibilities, which makes it incredibly difficult to step away from those vital farm duties they're also deeply involved in. You're needed in two critical places at once.
And the scarcity of affordable, flexible, rural childcare options?
Yeah.
That's a huge factor too, right?
Massive. It often leads to situations where young children are present on the farm during work hours, which is a constant source of worry for safety-conscious mothers.
I can only imagine. It's like trying to manage a wobbly newborn calf and a curious toddler at the same time.
Exactly. Your attention is constantly divided, and the potential for something to go wrong, for an accident to happen, it's always there in the back of your mind.
It's so crucial to understand that these challenges aren't isolated, are they? They're all interconnected. They create this really tough cycle.
That's a great point. Think about it. If you can't secure that loan to invest in labor-saving technology, maybe like a robotic milker,
Right.
then you're stuck with more manual labor, which leads to increased stress and fatigue, which then negatively impacts your mental well-being, your capacity to effectively manage finances, or even just find the time and energy to seek out support or training.
It feeds on itself.
It really does. It's a bit like dealing with a stubborn case of mastitis, actually.
How so?
Well, you have to address not just the immediate infection, but also the underlying environmental factors, the management practices, maybe even the equipment, to truly resolve the issue and prevent it from just coming right back. You need a holistic approach.
That makes sense. But as challenging as this landscape can be, our sources also really underscore the incredible resilience and adaptability of these dairy farm mothers.
Oh, absolutely. They are constantly finding innovative ways to forge ahead despite the hurdles. Technology, for example, is proving to be a real game changer for many.
Definitely. Things like automated milking systems, AMS, robotics.
Exactly. They not only take a huge chunk out of the sheer physical labor involved in milking, multiple times a day, every day.
Which is significant.
Huge. But they also can boost cow welfare, allowing for voluntary milking when the cow chooses, providing real-time health monitoring data right to your phone or computer.
And crucially, they can dramatically improve that work-life balance, right? By breaking those rigid milking schedules that can really dictate a farm family's entire life. Dinner times, holidays, kids' events.
That's perhaps the biggest benefit for many families. This isn't just about having the latest shiny gadgets. It's about reclaiming precious time and, frankly, reclaiming a bit of sanity in a really demanding profession.
Yeah. Reclaiming time and sanity. I like that framing.
And we're seeing a growing number of women entrepreneurs in the dairy sector who are actively leveraging technology like this, using it to streamline their operations while still effectively managing their family responsibilities.
So it's about working smarter, not just harder.
Precisely. But, as vital as technology is, it's not the whole story.
No, probably not.
Our sources also highlight the critical role of strong family bonds and robust community support networks. These act as crucial buffers against the significant stresses inherent in dairy farming.
That's social fabric.
Exactly. The data actually indicates that women farmers who lack strong family support are at a significantly higher risk of experiencing depression. That social safety net is absolutely essential.
And that's where things like peer groups come in. Women in ag networks.
That's precisely where they become absolutely indispensable. They provide invaluable emotional support, a forum for shared learning, exchanging practical tips, advice, maybe troubleshooting a problem together.
Sometimes just knowing someone else gets it.
That's huge. That vital sense of community can make all the difference when the going gets tough, when milk prices tank, or the weather just won't cooperate.
And for those of you listening actively involved in dairy operations yourselves, it's really worth considering the return on investment here.
What do you mean?
Well, the ROI on the well-being and the reduced stress of your partners, or maybe yourselves if you happen to be a farm mom listening,
Right.
when you can shift focus from being constantly tied to the parlor.
Because of something like AMS.
Exactly. To those higher level management tasks, strategic planning, financial analysis, employee management, that has a very real, tangible economic benefit in the long run. It's not just nice to have.
That's a great way to put it. It's very similar to how we meticulously calculate the somatic cell count benefits of implementing, say, a new teat prep routine.
Right. We track that data.
We should also be evaluating the value of supports and technologies that demonstrably reduce stress and prevent burnout, because burnout has a huge cost too.
Definitely. The irony, though, as our sources point out, is that those who could potentially reap the greatest benefits from these technological advancements, they're often the very ones facing the biggest financial hurdles in affording them.
Because of those existing income disparities and that limited access to credit we talked about.
Exactly. It's a real catch-22. And it's an inequity that ultimately holds back the entire industry, not just the individual farm.
It really does. So what's the big picture here? What does this all mean long term?
Well, I think it means we need to start looking at the long-term impact of dairy farm mothers. An impact that stretches far beyond, the current lactation or this year's cropping season.
Thinking bigger.
Exactly. These women are, in so many ways, the primary architects of the future of agriculture. They're the ones meticulously passing down those essential skills, those deeply ingrained core values, that incredible work ethic that's just second to none.
And that profound love and respect for the land, right? That's so deeply woven into the fabric of a farmer's identity.
Absolutely. Think of them as like living, breathing libraries of agricultural wisdom.
That's a nice image.
They're teaching the next generation those crucial calf-rearing nuances, instinctively knowing when that colostrum needs to get in for maximum impact, being able to spot the subtle early signs of scours long before they become, clinically obvious and harder to treat.
They're also instilling those fundamental principles of sustainable land management. Lessons learned through years of hands-on observation and hard work, stuff you just can't get from a textbook.
Exactly. Research actually backs this up. The power of this informal, family-based learning and the significant role of maternal mentorship in shaping the future stewards of our farms.
So raising kids on a farm isn't just about assigning chores.
No way. It's an immersive, hands-on education in responsibility, in the cycles of life and death, in appreciating the entire agricultural process. And mom is so often the lead instructor in that incredibly important curriculum.
It's learning by doing, day in and day out, guided by her experience.
Right. And this maternal mentorship, as the sources call it, cultivates not just practical skills, but also those vital character attributes, like adaptability, like a truly holistic understanding of the farm as a complex, interconnected ecosystem.
Not just silos of activity.
Precisely. They often emphasize animal welfare and environmental stewardship in ways that are just absolutely critical for the long-term sustainability of the entire industry, especially in our rapidly evolving world.
It's kind of akin to the long-term benefits of strategic selective breeding, isn't it?
How so?
Well, you're not just boosting immediate production in one generation. You're investing in the overall resilience, the health, the functionality of the entire herd for generations to come. It's a long game.
That's a really good analogy. And this isn't just a phenomenon we see here in North America, is it?
Not at all. Our sources point to some really compelling global parallels. Like in Moroccan farming households, women play a pivotal role in that intergenerational transfer of agricultural knowledge, building resilience within those communities facing their own unique challenges, like water scarcity.
Interesting. Any others?
Yeah, large-scale nutrition programs in places like India and Nigeria have achieved remarkable success, however, by actively engaging mothers and grandmothers to drive positive behavioral changes and share vital health information within their families and communities.
So leveraging trusted figures within the community.
Exactly. These programs often use existing community platforms and rely on trusted local figures, very often women themselves, to foster peer support and deliver tailored messaging that really resonates culturally.
It really makes you think, doesn't it? Could we adapt this model more effectively for agricultural knowledge transfer right here within our own dairy industry?
How do you mean?
Well, particularly for women who might face barriers to accessing, say, the traditional, perhaps more male-dominated extension services or industry events.
That's a fascinating thought. It definitely sparks some interesting ideas. Imagine women-centric dairy support groups, maybe focused on specific topics like calf health or financial management.
Or female peer educators. Yeah. Women who excel in certain areas, sharing their knowledge directly with others.
Yeah. Or really tapping into the vast reservoir of knowledge held by respected older farm women, using them as mentors for the next generation.
It's definitely a thought worth exploring. Strengthening our industry from the grassroots up, leveraging that incredible expertise that's already there.
Okay, so if we connect this incredible role in knowledge transfer and mentorship to the broader economic landscape,
it becomes crystal clear that dairy farm mothers are not only nurturers and educators, but also significant economic engines.
Right. They are managing substantial assets, playing indispensable roles in day-to-day production, and increasingly demonstrating their entrepreneurial drive, finding new ways to add value or diversify.
However, their true economic power is often masked, isn't it? By that persistent earnings gap and the unequal access to vital resources we keep coming back to.
Let's maybe circle back quickly to those eye-opening statistics just to reinforce the point.
Let's do that.
We know that a full 51% of all U.S. farms have at least one woman operator.
Half the farms.
And these women manage that staggering 407 million acres and generate $222 billion in farm sales. These are not small numbers.
Not at all. They represent a massive contribution.
Absolutely. But here's the stark reality we have to confront. Women-led farms, on average, earn a staggering 40% less than those run primarily by men.
40% less? That's huge.
It's huge. And this isn't some isolated data point from one study. Multiple sources, different data sets consistently point to this significant disparity.
Can you break that down further?
Yeah, if we look at the average value of production between, say, 2017 and 2020, women-only operations averaged just $28,492.
Okay.
Compare that to 209,083 for men-only farms.
Wow, that's a massive difference.
It is, and that disparity extends to government payments as well. Women-only farms received an average of $7,687 versus $24,964 for men-only operations during that same period.
Okay, now hang on. Of course, factors like the average size of the farm, maybe the specific commodities being produced, they must play some role in those averages, right?
Yeah. Oh, undoubtedly. Women-led farms do tend to be smaller on average and might be concentrated in different sectors. However, even accounting for those factors, that significant difference, that 40% gap, is undeniable. It persists across different analyses.
It's almost like comparing, I don't know, a dairy with a 20,000-pound rolling herd average to one consistently pushing 33,000 pounds.
Right.
But without any clear fundamental difference in terms of genetics or basic management practices that would readily explain such a massive gap. Something else is going on.
Exactly. And this 40% income gap isn't solely attributable to farm size or type. It's significantly influenced by that more challenging access to credit we discussed earlier.
Which directly translates to less capital available for those crucial on-farm investments.
Precisely. Whether that's investing in genomic testing your heifer herd to really accelerate genetic progress, or upgrading your milking parlor for greater efficiency and improved cow comfort, or maybe implementing a sophisticated activity monitoring system to proactively manage herd health.
Limited access to capital just creates a major roadblock, stops you from taking those next steps.
It absolutely does, and we absolutely cannot forget the unquantified economic cost of all that invisible labor we've been talking about.
Right. The childcare, the household management that keeps the whole family unit functioning, the farm support tasks like running for parts or keeping the books, stuff that women often disproportionately handle.
All of this takes significant time and energy away from activities that directly generate income that actually gets formally accounted for on the farm's balance sheet.
So their total contribution is much larger than the farm income figures show.
Much larger. Now, interestingly, globally, we see the transformative power of collective action in empowering women in dairy. Cooperatives seem particularly effective.
Like in India.
Exactly. In India, where women constitute a substantial portion of the dairy labor force, initiatives like the White Revolution 2.0 are strategically focused on integrating more women into organized dairy cooperatives.
And what do these co-ops provide?
They're a vital lifeline, really, offering access to crucial credit, which we know is often a barrier, providing essential training in everything from, say, basic mastitis prevention to formulating balanced feed rations tailored to local conditions.
Practical skills.
Very practical. Plus, opportunities for leadership roles within the cooperative structure itself. And importantly, fair and direct access to markets, cutting out those exploitative middlemen.
Like the Anand pattern co-ops.
The famed Anand pattern dairy cooperatives are a powerful example of exactly that. Linking producers directly to consumers ensures fairer returns for their hard work and investment.
And we have that story from Bangladesh, right? Aparna Rani Singha.
Yes, her story really drives this point home. By joining a project that guaranteed fair and transparent pricing through local milk collection centers,
Key element.
crucial, and provided much-needed training or good dairy farming practices, and even introduced digital tools for managing her small operation, she was able to fundamentally transform her business and really her life.
So these cooperatives, they're far more than just marketing organizations then.
Oh, much more. They are comprehensive socio-economic empowerment tools. They offer really valuable lessons for how we can work to uplift women in agriculture everywhere.
It's like how a well-managed forage program doesn't just feed the cows, it supports high milk production and robust rumen health simultaneously. It has multiple benefits.
That's a perfect analogy. It builds a stronger, more resilient system overall. What's particularly noteworthy here is moving from the stats to the people.
Yeah, it's definitely time to put some faces to these facts and figures. Our sources share some truly inspiring stories of women who are absolutely excelling and innovating within the dairy world, often against the odds. Let's start maybe with Jennifer Breen in Orwell, Vermont.
Okay, Jennifer Breen. She's a fifth-generation innovator at Holland Breen Farm, LLC.
Fifth generation, wow.
Yeah, and she brought her valuable communications and business background from an off-farm career back to the family farm, partnered strategically with her father.
What changes did they make?
They embraced organic production methods, which was a significant shift, and made that big investment in robotic milkers, both to boost overall farm efficiency and to improve their family's quality of life.
That balance again.
Exactly. Her quote really speaks volumes about her commitment. She said, "I felt strongly that the farm should continue as a productive family enterprise."
Keeping it going, but making it work for the future.
Right. And showcasing their remarkable adaptability in a tough market, they recently secured a grant to actually transition part of the operation to goat dairy.
Diversification. Like implementing a diversified feeding strategy for the entire farm business, not just the cows.
Excellent parallel. Then we shift continents and we have the Nigerian Fulani milkmaids.
Okay.
These women have traditionally been the absolute backbone of local milk processing and sales, skillfully creating products like no-no, which is a fermented milk drink, and butter. This is often their primary source of income and sustenance.
But they face huge challenges, right?
Immense challenges. Ongoing conflict in some regions, and the increasingly severe impacts of climate change, unpredictable rainfall, drought affecting grazing.
We hear those stories. Like Hafsatu Muhammad, who was tragically displaced by violence, losing her home, her herd, her livelihood.
And Morema Husseini, who battles those increasingly unpredictable rainfall patterns and the soaring costs of livestock feed just to keep her animals alive.
And on top of that, they face systemic inequities.
Significant ones. A large majority of women dairy farmers in Nigeria don't even hold ownership of their own cattle. And men can often earn considerably more for performing the very same dairy work.
That's incredibly frustrating.
It is. But despite confronting all this, these women demonstrate just extraordinary perseverance. They're creatively adapting their sales methods, relying heavily on their vital community networks for support.
That's social fabric again.
Absolutely essential. And they eagerly embrace any opportunities for training that come their way, recognizing the value of new skills. One milkmaid proudly shared how new training in hygiene led to more hygienic production practices and a tangible increase in their daily milk supply, which directly improved their income.
Small changes, big impact.
Definitely. And let's not forget Aparna Rani Singha back in Bangladesh.
Right, the co-op member.
Exactly. Starting her dairy journey with just a single heifer, she diligently built her business, overcoming those really common hurdles of low productivity and unfair milk prices from middlemen.
How did she turn it around?
By actively participating in that Solidaridad Safel project, she gained access to crucial training in modern dairy farming techniques and, critically, those fair-priced milk collection centers that ensured she received a just return for her efforts.
Taking out the unfairness.
Yes. And later, a USAID-funded project further empowered her by introducing practical digital tools, things like an IVR system for information, a mobile payment app, just streamlining her transactions and farm management.
So embracing technology, too.
Absolutely. And now, she's a testament to hard work and determination. She's debt-free, has a thriving small herd of 5 cows, a biogas plant providing clean energy for her home, and even a deep well ensuring a reliable water source.
Amazing transformation.
It really is. And her aspirations extend beyond the farm. She hopes her daughters will become good citizens, and she's actively contributing to her community by serving as a local school governor. A true inspiration.
Incredible story. And closer to home, we have Rita Vander Koe in Worthington, Minnesota.
Yes, Rita. She's an absolutely integral part of the operation at Okata Dairy, which is a large, modern 2,500 cow farm.
So, large scale, what are her roles?
Incredibly diverse, spanning from that crucial initial care of newborn calves to expertly coordinating with nutrition consultants and reproductive specialists to optimize herd performance.
High-level management.
Definitely. Efficiently managing the farm's payroll and even ensuring the entire farm crew is well fed and taken care of during those demanding planting and harvest seasons. That logistical support is huge.
But she does advocacy too, right?
Yes. Beyond her indispensable on-farm roles, Rita is also a highly effective advocate for agriculture through her engaging social media presence, Married and Farming. She connects with a broad audience, shares the realities of modern dairy farming, tackles misconceptions.
That's so important today.
It is. Her quotes really highlight her core values, too. Being together as a family is one of our greatest joys, she shares. And she adds, with real conviction, being a mother will always be my greatest calling.
Balancing it all.
Exactly. She truly embodies the modern dairy mom essential to the success of a large-scale operation, a passionate public advocate for the industry, and deeply committed to her family.
What really ties these incredible stories together, I think, despite their very diverse backgrounds and locations, it's that unshakable entrepreneurial spirit and that remarkable ability to adapt to incredibly challenging circumstances.
That adaptability is key. Whether it's Jennifer Breen's strategic technology investments in Vermont, or Aparna's embrace of digital tools in Bangladesh, or the Fulani milkmaid's sheer resilience in the face of conflict and climate change in Nigeria, or Rita's seamless blend of on-farm management and off-farm advocacy in Minnesota.
They're all innovative problem solvers, often working against significant odds. They're like those exceptionally high-performing dairy cows, aren't they? The ones that just keep producing and thriving, no matter what challenges you throw their way.
That's a great way to think about it. They just find a way. Which certainly raises another important point for us to consider.
Which is?
This critical concept of invisible labor on dairy farms, particularly as it pertains to mothers.
The iceberg analogy you mentioned earlier.
Exactly. Think of it like that vast iceberg. What we readily observe, the milking, the feeding, the field work, represents just a small fraction of the total effort involved in keeping that farm and family running.
So there's a substantial amount of crucial work happening beneath the surface.
Huge amounts, often unseen, frequently unacknowledged, and certainly almost never compensated economically. Much like, say, the complex microbial activity diligently working away inside a cow's rumen. It's absolutely essential for efficient digestion and milk production, but you don't see it directly.
Right. And that triple burden we discussed earlier, the on-farm work, the off-farm income necessity, the disproportionate share of caregiving and household duties that significantly contributes to this invisible third pillar, doesn't it?
Massively. This encompasses the considerable mental load associated with childcare. All the meticulous planning, the constant emotional support, the educational guidance. It also includes proactively researching herd health protocols online, the often complex task of meal planning for a busy farm crew.
Managing those intricate family schedules that are so often intertwined with the farm's demands. Planting season, harvest, calving rushes.
Exactly. And yes, even acting as the primary mediator and peacekeeper within the family business structure, smoothing things over when stresses are high.
And farm women often report significant stress and even guilt from this juggling act.
They do, stemming from constantly trying to manage these multiple demanding roles and that ever-present worry about their children's safety in a potentially hazardous farm environment. Especially given, as we've said, the often limited availability of accessible and affordable rural childcare.
It's a constant balancing act with very real emotional consequences.
Definitely. But it's really important to recognize how dairy moms are actually redefining this so-called invisible labor. It's not simply about passively performing routine tasks like laundry or cooking.
What do you mean?
It involves a significant degree of strategic management. They're expertly coordinating those incredibly complex daily and weekly schedules, often managing the closely intertwined household and farm finances, proactively researching solutions for a myriad of on-farm challenges, from finding better ways to implement mastitis prevention strategies to sourcing the right specialized veterinary or nutritional expertise when needed.
So it's active management, just in a different sphere.
Precisely. And there's also a substantial component of often unrecognized emotional labor involved. They are frequently the ones actively maintaining family cohesion in what can be a highly stressful and financially volatile business environment.
Providing crucial emotional support to their partners through unpredictable market fluctuations, weather disasters, the constant pressures of farm.
Exactly. And nurturing their children through it all. This is a massive, often completely uncredited contribution. It's the very glue that holds the entire farm operation and the family unit together.
Like that vital and diverse microbiome, silently maintaining optimal rumen health and efficiency in our dairy cows. Essential, but unseen.
Perfect analogy again. And let's not overlook the constant risk management involved, particularly that often subconscious vigilance around child safety and that potentially dangerous farm environment, heavy machinery, large, unpredictable livestock, agricultural chemicals.
They're constantly scanning their surroundings, right? Like a highly skilled herdsperson is always keenly observing for those subtle changes in cow behavior that might indicate an early sign of a health issue.
Exactly that kind of vigilance. And finally, there's their absolutely critical role in human capital development, actively raising the next generation of farmers, instilling those essential values of hard work, responsibility, animal husbandry, and that deep connection to the land.
This is a long-term investment in the very future of the farm and the broader agricultural industry. Like a dedicated breeder, carefully selecting for specific genetic traits to enhance the herd's overall potential for generations to come.
Precisely. Now, the real issue with this invisibility, why it matters so much, is that it carries very tangible and negative economic consequences.
Because this labor is frequently unpaid and certainly unquantified in formal accounting.
It significantly undervalues the mother's true economic contribution to the farm, which directly contributes to that persistent 40% income disparity we discussed earlier.
Right. If you actually had to outsource all of that, the essential childcare, the meticulous bookkeeping, the delicate family mediation, even the regular nutritious meal preparation that fuels the workforce,
the farm's bottom line would undoubtedly look drastically different. It's like suddenly having to pay market rates for all the essential and continuous services that a healthy and efficient rumen provides for free to the cow every single day. You'd realize its value pretty quickly.
Okay, that's a powerful point. Enough talk about the problems and the hidden value. Let's talk solutions. Time for action.
Absolutely, because while acknowledging and appreciating the incredible contributions of dairy farm mothers is certainly important, it's not enough.
Just applause isn't going to fix it.
Exactly. If we truly want to see them thrive and for the entire industry to benefit from their full potential, we need to move beyond mere applause and implement tangible systemic shifts.
Shifts that dismantle the structural barriers they consistently face.
Right, and cultivate an environment where their immense contributions are genuinely recognized, appropriately valued, and critically, fairly rewarded.
Okay, our analysis points to several key areas where decisive action is urgently needed. What's first?
First and foremost, we've got to crack open those often tight credit lines. Access to capital is fundamental.
So what does that look like?
It means actively implementing targeted loan programs specifically designed for women in agriculture, reevaluating existing credit criteria that might inadvertently or even overtly disadvantage women-led operations, and providing tailored financial literacy training programs to empower them with the knowledge and confidence to navigate that complex financial landscape effectively.
Giving them the same crucial access to capital that's so vital for making strategic genetic advancements in their herds or investing in essential upgrades to their farm facilities.
Exactly. Secondly, we need to establish robust and readily accessible mental health lifelines.
This is critical.
Absolutely. Affordable and crucially rurally aware mental health services are non-negotiable. We need professionals who understand the unique pressures of agriculture to effectively combat the significant stress and burnout stemming from that relentless triple burden.
And we need to view this not as an added expense, right? But as a critical investment in human well-being. Just as vital as the investments we routinely make in maintaining optimal herd health and preventing disease.
Precisely. Thirdly, we need concrete and sustainable childcare solutions. And frankly, we need them urgently. Stat.
The childcare tightrope.
Yes. This demands significant and dedicated investment in building and supporting rural childcare infrastructure, developing flexible childcare options that truly meet the unique and often unpredictable demands of farm life, not just 9-to-5 solutions, and exploring potential subsidy programs to make quality childcare genuinely affordable for farm families.
You know, reliable and accessible calf care is absolutely essential for the success of a thriving dairy operation.
Of course.
The same fundamental principle applies to reliable and accessible childcare for the families who are the backbone of that operation. It's infrastructure.
Well said. Fourthly, agricultural policies at federal, state, local levels need to become truly gender responsive in their design and their implementation.
What does gender responsive mean in practice?
It means actively ensuring equitable land rights and inheritance laws, guaranteeing fair and equal access to all agricultural resources, extension services, and support programs, providing relevant training opportunities that are specifically tailored to meet the diverse needs of women in agriculture, recognizing they might have different starting points or learning preferences.
And better data collection.
Yes. We need to improve our data collection methods to more accurately and comprehensively capture the full scope of their invaluable contributions to the sector. Right now, a lot of it is missed. It's like trying to manage your herd without comprehensive DHI testing. You just don't have the complete and nuanced picture you need to make the best decisions. Okay. Fifth, we must proactively work to boost leadership opportunities and significantly strengthen support networks specifically for women in the dairy industry.
Like those women in ag groups.
Exactly. Actively supporting women-led cooperatives and industry networks helps to enhance their collective market presence, increases their bargaining power in the marketplace, and fosters invaluable mentorship opportunities where they can learn from and support one another. It's like how a strong and collaborative breeding program builds a successful herd through shared knowledge and strategic connections.
Got it. And
Finally, we need to unlock access to those crucial labor-saving technologies that can truly transform farm life and free up time and energy.
Back to the robotics, the monitoring systems.
Yes, this could involve implementing targeted grant programs, offering specific subsidies, or developing innovative financing options specifically aimed at facilitating the adoption of technologies like automated milking systems, sophisticated activity monitoring systems, or automated calf feeders.
Because these technologies have the potential to significantly transform daily workloads and dramatically improve that often elusive work-life balance on dairy farms.
They essentially multiply human effectiveness, allowing people to focus on higher-level management and analysis, much the same way that strategic genetic selection amplifies the production potential of our herds over time.
It's absolutely vital for everyone involved in the dairy industry, from producers to processors to policymakers, to understand that these aren't simply women's issues.
No, they're fundamental farm viability issues. They impact the success and sustainability of the entire sector.
A well-supported and empowered partner, or key female manager, is invariably more effective, more innovative in their approach, and ultimately more resilient in the face of challenges. And that directly benefits the entire farm operation's bottom line and longevity.
Absolutely. Policies and support systems that proactively address these often overlooked challenges create a powerful and positive synergy for meaningful change across the board. It's like the combined impact of excellent nutrition, comfortable housing, and consistently proper milking techniques in optimizing both milk production and overall cow health. You need all the pieces working together.
Which brings us nicely to the crucial role they play in the sustainability of our industry, doesn't it?
Exactly, because the role of dairy farm mothers extends far beyond the immediate financial bottom line of their individual operations. It's absolutely central to the long-term environmental, social, and economic sustainability of the entire dairy industry.
How so?
Well, they're often unique perspectives which frequently incorporate a strong focus on long-term well-being, maybe a heightened environmental consciousness, and that invaluable passing down of intergenerational knowledge make them vital architects of a more resilient, ethical, and environmentally sound dairy future.
There's evidence backing this up.
There's a growing body of evidence suggesting that women farm operators often demonstrate a greater inclination towards adopting more sustainable farming practices. Things like cover cropping, rotational grazing, reduced tillage, which is obviously increasingly critical as our industry faces greater scrutiny regarding its environmental footprint and its impact on natural resources.
Their nurturing approach often naturally extends beyond their families and their livestock to encompass the land itself.
Often, yes. Fostering a strong ethic of stewardship that values long-term soil health just as much as they value udder health and milk quality. They see the connection.
And as primary caregivers within their families, they often harbor a deep and personal concern for the quality and safety of the food they produce.
Which perfectly aligns with the increasing consumer demand for greater transparency and accountability within our food systems. They get why consumers care about that.
Plus, research increasingly indicates that empowered women in agriculture often demonstrate greater resilience and a more proactive approach to adapting to the growing impacts of climatic shocks and environmental changes.
Which is a crucial trait for ensuring the long-term viability of dairy farming in an increasingly unpredictable world. They're often thinking ahead, preparing for challenges.
So their role is truly paramount for fostering a more sustainable dairy sector. Why specifically?
Okay, several key reasons. 1, they often act as the steadfast guardians of long-term viability. They're consistently thinking in terms of future generations, prioritizing the long-term health and resilience of the farm, their families, their communities, often focusing on sustained lifetime profitability of a cow rather than solely chasing maximum peak lactation at any potential cost to longevity.
Thinking long-term, not just short-term gains.
Exactly. 2, they are frequently the key drivers of innovation in animal care and welfare practices. Their direct, hands-on involvement with the daily care of their animals, especially calves, transition cows, often leads to practical, common sense, and effective improvements in welfare protocols and management strategies that maybe someone less involved wouldn't notice.
Like how employing meticulous milking techniques is absolutely essential for effectively preventing mastitis and ensuring udder health. That attention to detail matters.
Precisely. Their nurturing and attentive approaches often significantly enhance the overall well-being of the entire herd. 3, they also tend to advocate for more holistic and integrated farming practices.
Seeing the farm as an ecosystem.
Yes. Viewing the farm not as a collection of isolated components, crops here, cows there, finances over there, but as a complex and interconnected ecosystem. They instinctively understand that long-term soil health, optimal cow comfort, and sustained economic sustainability are all inextricably linked.
Like the delicate and balanced microbial function within a cow's rumen, directly impacting efficient nutrient utilization, leading to both consistent milk production and overall farm profitability. It's all connected.
You've got it. And finally, 4, they often play a pivotal role in effectively connecting with consumers and building trust in the dairy industry.
How? Through their stories.
Exactly. Their authentic stories, their deeply held values, their genuine passion for their animals and their way of life that can build crucial bridges with an increasingly discerning public, fostering a more positive and informed perception of modern dairy farming.
Kind of like the vital trust that exists between a good farmer and their dedicated veterinarian. It's built on communication and shared values.
Very similar. Ultimately, empowering dairy mothers has the profound potential to catalyze a significant and positive shift towards a dairy sector that is not only highly productive and efficient,
but also demonstrably more environmentally responsible, ethically grounded in its animal care practices, and more deeply and meaningfully connected to the communities it proudly serves.
Well said. So let's try and get down to the bottom line here.
Okay. The story of the dairy farm mother. It's a compelling narrative, isn't it? Unwavering dedication, remarkable skill, and an often understated but truly extraordinary strength.
They really are the operational masterminds, the emotional bedrock, and the forward-thinking innovators on so many of our farms.
And yet, for far too long, their immense and multifaceted contributions have been significantly undervalued, if not outright invisible to many outside the farm gate, maybe even sometimes within it.
Well, maybe enough is enough. As an industry, as tight-knit rural communities, and certainly as individual families, we must actively celebrate these incredible women who are the absolute backbone of our dairy sector.
Yeah, take a genuine moment. Think about the dairy mom in your own life, within your cooperative, in your local community. Reflect on the woman who's expertly juggling complex dry cow protocols and helping with the kids' 4-H project.
The one meticulously tracking those milk quality premiums and still managing to put a nutritious family dinner on the table after a long day.
The one diligently analyzing those DHIA records to make breeding decisions while also upholding cherished family traditions and community commitments.
This isn't just about offering a fleeting pat on the back, is it? Or a perfunctory word of thanks at the annual meeting. It's a clear and urgent call to action.
Action like what?
We need to fully and unequivocally recognize their intrinsic value, actively challenging that outdated and frankly dismissive notion that their crucial work is simply helping out.
We need to actively work to quantify their significant contributions where possible, deeply respect their often hard-earned expertise, and ensure that they are consistently and fairly rewarded for their indispensable role.
Just as we've come to understand that the components within milk, the fat, the protein, not just the sheer volume, truly determine its overall value and producer compensation, we need to see all the valuable components they bring.
And we must also become vocal advocates for meaningful systemic change, actively supporting policies and initiatives that directly address that persistent credit gap they face.
The critical childcare crisis that disproportionately impacts rural families.
And the often overlooked but vital mental health needs of farm women who carry such a heavy load.
These are not peripheral issues. They are essential pieces of the infrastructure that supports a thriving and sustainable dairy industry, every bit as crucial as having proper housing and ventilation for our valuable livestock.
We need to proactively foster and cultivate leadership opportunities too, actively encouraging and creating clear and accessible pathways for women to take on more formal leadership roles within their own farm operations, on co-op boards, and industry organizations.
We need to nurture their untapped potential as diligently and strategically as we nurture the genetic potential of our dairy herds through careful selection and breeding programs. Develop that talent.
And perhaps most importantly, maybe the easiest thing for everyone listening to do, we need to actively share their stories, far and wide.
Make the invisible visible.
Exactly. By intentionally making their often invisible work visible to a wider audience, we can not only deeply inspire others within the industry, but also effectively educate those outside of it, helping to put a very real and relatable human face behind milk in the grocery store, showing the incredible effort and dedication it truly takes to produce it day in and day out.
In fact, all of us here at the Bullvine want to issue a direct challenge to everyone listening right now.
Okay, lay it on us.
Please, take the time. Nominate your dairy heroine for recognition. Let's collectively amplify their voices and ensure they receive the acknowledgement and appreciation they so richly deserve.
Whether it's for a local community award, a prestigious industry honor, or maybe just a heartfelt public thank you shared within your local network or on social media.
Exactly. And when you're considering your nominations, really think about the women you know who consistently excel in farm operations, who enthusiastically embrace innovation and new ideas, who are fierce champions for animal welfare and environmental sustainability,
who selflessly serve as mentors to others, maybe younger women starting out,
who actively and positively contribute to their local communities, volunteering their time,
and who demonstrate just unparalleled resilience in the face of the inevitable challenges that come with farm life.
Because when we actively champion these often unsung heroes of our industry, we are doing so much more than just giving credit where it's undeniably due.
We are making a direct and powerful investment in the long-term future of the entire dairy industry,
fostering a more equitable, more resilient, and ultimately a more vibrant and sustainable future for all of us who are a part of it.
Let's ensure the remarkable stories shine as brightly as that freshly scrubbed bulk tank gleaming in the milkhouse, ready for the morning's precious milk. That's a good goal.
It is. So just to quickly recap our deep dive today, We've explored the central, absolutely critical, and often underestimated role of dairy farm mothers as skilled operational managers, crucial decision makers, and incredibly capable laborers.
We've also highlighted the significant and interconnected challenges they frequently face. That persistent income gap, the often limited access to essential credit, the immense and often invisible mental load from the triple burden, and the ongoing scarcity of affordable, flexible, rural childcare.
We've also delved into that vast and economically significant realm of invisible labor. They consistently perform strategic planning, emotional support, risk management, human capital development. And we've underscored the urgent, collective need for meaningful systemic changes to achieve genuine economic parity and greater overall visibility for their vital contributions.
And finally, we've emphasized just how intrinsically linked the empowerment of dairy farm mothers is to the long-term sustainability, the continuous innovation, and the essential intergenerational continuity of the entire dairy industry, recognizing their pivotal role as champions of long-term viability, holistic practices, and animal welfare.
Absolutely.
So as you go about the rest of your day, maybe head out to the barn or into the office, we want to leave you with this final thought-provoking question to chew on. How can you, in your own sphere of influence, personally contribute to elevating the role and truly valuing the immense contributions of women in your own dairy operation and in the broader dairy industry as a whole?
It's a vital topic. It deserves our ongoing reflection, certainly open discussion, and most importantly, decisive action.
If there's one takeaway from today's episode, it's this. Dairy farm mothers aren't just helpers. They're CEOs, strategists, and the heartbeat of their farms. Their stories aren't just about survival. They're blueprints for thriving in an industry that demands everything and gives little back. So here's our challenge to you. Next time you pour a glass of milk or enjoy that wedge of cheese, remember the women who made it possible. Better yet, nominate a dairy heroine you know. Share her story with Dairy Farm Moms or tag us at the Bullvine. Let's give these unsung heroes the recognition they've earned. Thanks for tuning in. For more stories that matter to dairy professionals, visit thebullvine.com. Until next time, keep milking the possibilities.